Hello, everyone. I'm Chenyu, and I'm from IHS. IHS is a research company covering technology, media, and telecom value chains. So today, I'm going to talk about the virtual reality. So it's an opportunity both globally and in China. So we can see that a lot of consumer spending on entertainment media today, including film, TV drama, games, and video, etc. And we can see how important games is. It's going to has more than 20% market share by the end of 2019. So actually, we all know that technology will indicate the potential of one particular market, but technology and content together will spark the market. The most obvious part is smartphones and application stores. Now, with the development of virtual reality, so will the headset and immersive content together to boost the VR market? Well, we will see. Actually, there has to be multiple attempts to try consumer VR since the 1980s. We can see the Sega VR, Nintendo Virtual Boy, but none of them has been a success. But the legacy has made today's VR capable. And the development of technology has rushed a lot of companies into the VR sector. So we can see that all of this technology stemmed from the other waves of disruption for consumer electronics. So like we can see the development of smartphones, 3D games engines has made today's VR, at the right side. And also this technology development has enabled many companies rush into the VR market, particularly for the hardware. So actually, there are two types of VR headsets available in the market. One is the smartphone adapter headset, the Google Cardboard, Samsung Gear, and another one is integrated display headsets, HTC and Oculus. However, none of them are available in China. So Chinese people cannot buy them, actually. But that's why there are a lot of local companies, local Chinese companies are developing VR headsets. So they just rapidly roll out the devices. They are afraid of being left behind. But these companies entering the VR market, does it mean that they care about VR? No, I don't think so, because I think they have their own reasons to participate in the market. For example, like Sony, the release of PSVR is to boost its console sales, and Samsung is to boost its smartphone sales, and also Tencent is to build the VR ecosystem. And so they have their own reasons. And as well as the Chinese companies, they are not, they are interested in VR, but it's not on VR individually. So they have their own reasons. We can say like there are three types of Chinese companies in the VR market. So first, it's definitely investment. So a lot of capital investors and as well as the games publishers, they invest in the VR market. And the second one is for hardware. So we can see like a lot of companies like Deepon and VR is entering the Chinese companies. And some of them are startups, and some of them are already like consumer electronics manufacturer. And the third one is for the content. So Tencent is focusing on the open platform, connected with SDK. And Shanda is building the VR theme park. I think it's going to be interesting. And also TVR is developing some VR games. So let's talk about the hardware first. So among all the hardware, we have to say like cheap smartphone adapters is where most Chinese companies as well as the global companies are entering into. Because we know, like, in China, do you know Mojing 4 and the Deepeng's VR? It's a two Chinese companies, and their sales, cumulative sales of its VR adapter headsets has 400K units sold by the end of first quarter 2016. It's surprising, actually, because the integrated and display headsets maybe was less than 10K. So it's really huge sales. So I think the reason to boost this sales is its cheaper prices to inspire users to try VR devices. But although there are many devices available in the market, where is the content? I know, like, the hardware is full of the market, but content, well, I don't think so, because there were many. We still saw, like, videos dominate the VR content market. Games has, but for adapter headsets, it's always like adapted mobile games rather than truly VR games. And even Samsung and Google, they promoted VR like video rather than games. So actually, not for adapter, but both high-end headset and adapter have their own weakness. So the adapter headset will have like clunking solution and the mixed quality. Well, but for the high-end headset, it has its own weakness, like, it's very expensive. Imagine HTC and Oculus. I think Sony could be cheaper, but it's still expensive compared to the adapter headset. So besides the two types of devices, we can see the third one. It's standalone devices available in Chinese market. So the right side is Deepeng's VR standalone devices, M2, and the left side is Icarus. So both of them are standalone devices, so you don't need to connect to PC or consoles, or you just wear it and then walk around and then you can play the games. It's good, but both of the devices have their own problem. They have screen latency, they have the positional tracking is limited, and also they lack some interactive gameplay. Sometimes you could just like stand here and then move your head and then play the games and nothing. So we can say the technology is developing, but it's not developed enough to to roll out this sort of standalone devices. So and also our forecast of the VR headset reflects this kind of weaknesses. So we can see, like, in 2016, there's a significant growth curve compared to 2015. And then it become relatively flat because we haven't seen any significant improvement of technology to boost the VR headset. And it's similar in China. So, like a significant growth curve in 2016, and then relatively flat. So we can see among the installed base, we see like mobile has the bigger pie, both in China and globally. And the console is the second one. Because the console one is because we expect a lot from PSVR. We think it's because it's cheaper price, and also Sony is a competent company as well. So it's maybe easier for them to adapt a lot of console games to the VR platform. So it will boost like the console-related VR headset. Well, but in China, the console pie would be smaller because of the limitation in the console market in China. And also PSVR will not be available in October in China because of the censorship. Talk about brand, we can say this is the world brand installed base share. So it's like the Google and Samsung, and then the biggest pie is the adapter headsets. The the disappointing thing is like all the Google Cardboard, Samsung, Sony, it's not available in China. So nearly like 95% will be the adapter headsets in China. And among the adapter headsets, we can see like, I'm not sure anyone knows the Android console market in China, because it could be like parallel. Because in the Android console games market in China, the device makers just sell device. They cannot be monetized through content. And now it's similar in the VR one. So it's like VR companies just sell their device. So they quickly roll out their devices to occupy the market, but they cannot be monetized through the content. So now let's go into talk about the content. We can see two sort of type of content available on the VR headset. One thing is the free one, so free, you know, it's like just a short video clip or some like short clip, sorry, a short game video clip. And so they're free, and it's the most part of the VR content available right now. Second one would be premium. So it's like the VR headset companies could really get money from the premium content. And today, most premium content will be games related. So let's see, like it's our forecast of the VR game spend over the next 5 years. So we can see like we think the VR games market will reach $1.2 billion by 2018. It's not a small market, but compared to the total gaming market, it's only a small part, because the total gaming market will reach $88 billion in 2015. Take Oculus as an example. So we can see a lot of VR game genres available in the VR platform. So from these genres, we can see like VR games will not mirror the existing games market. So it's like, because the headset will bring the entirely new experience to the consumers. So not just porting the existing well-established market. So it leaves a lot of opportunities for the game developers. But when it comes to China, the first thing we need to consider is the censorship. There's no exact regulations on VR games in China at this moment, because the VR games is still in early stage, and then the SARFT, you know, the government will have no, have no thought on it. But considering the complicated approval process for the other game segments, we can imagine if VR games is growing, and there should be a lot of regulations to impact the VR games. So that's the first thing we need to consider in the future, actually, but it's one of the important things. But now, at this moment, we can say like, among all the content available in China, games is a little bit light. So most focus will be on like video, film, and like travel. So it's like when you wear the headset, you can just watch it, and you will not play the games. One of the reasons is because the recent games experience cannot satisfy the gamers. That's why the companies will not promote a lot about their games content, because they know their game experience is okay maybe for some normal audience, for some normal users, but they cannot attract gamers. So to expand their user base, they have to promote a lot about their video rather than games. So it's one of the problems in Chinese companies. That's why they can only sell the devices, because for video they cannot, generate any revenue from it. But for games, they can generate a lot of revenue directly from games. But now it's not real at this moment. So here is what we're going to talk about today. So actually, we can see VR opportunities over there. and we, all of developers, publishers, they all have opportunity in it. But at this stage, now it's like a lot of content spent will be taking Samsung Gear, Oculus globally, but it could be different in China because China is a much more fragmented Chinese market. So a lot of local companies, a lot of brands. So and also these major companies are not available in China. And also we have to say like another thing is like we need to not expect, but we need to be prepared for the censorship on the VR games in China. So when you develop games and you want to introduce it to China, you need to consider it. Okay, that's today. Yeah, thanks.
All right, so I got a question for you.
Okay.
So obviously, like consoles in China didn't perform well at all. Like really bad. And we don't expect that's gonna go better like next year. And obviously, VR in general means that you have to buy even more hardware to go forward. So when do you estimate that in terms of years? Because I don't believe that in the next 3-4 years, as we saw in your graph, that there's going to be mass adoption all of a sudden of VR. But when do you think that, based on GDP and all these things, that Chinese citizens will have enough money to actually go and buy some dedicated hardware to have proper VR running?
Well, that's why there are a lot of local Chinese companies entering the market, because actually because the established hardcore gamers for console is quite limited in China because of the 12-year span, but the local Chinese companies develop cheaper headsets. Even for some integrated display headset, it costs like maybe just $200 to $300. So it's much cheaper, and also so the Chinese gamers could buy it, and also so that's why, and also the pie is for world, so for the worldwide. So that's why the console is like the pie for console is a little bit bigger, but for China it could be a little bit smaller.
Yeah, it's almost non-existent. Like I saw some pie where it's like you don't even see the line. You're like, where?
It still existed because the console sells like the Xbox One and PS4 together. It's so like 500K together in China. So it still has some market, and also you need to mention the gray market in China as well. So it still has like gamers over there, and these gamers will try VR if the like PSVR or maybe upcoming devices will be available in China, and also they will try the local companies developer headsets can connect it to the Android console. It's not traditional console, but Android console, so it's like related to TV games. They will try. So we still see like a lot of potential in the market.
And do you see any growth then in more like arcades, which is, you know, you go to the place and play VR instead of having one at home?
Not arcade, actually, they have. But, you know, the one thing in China is like experience pavilion. So it's like Deepon is building like a particular, you know, how to say, a particular space. So it's like stable, so it's just over there, and also same park. So it's like they will install their headset over there, and the people could go in there to try. And they just need to pay the ticket. But not for arcade. I think arcade could be popular because it's like, it gives you like better interactive gameplay. But arcade games the traditional arcade games is not that popular in China now. So I don't think it could be you know, it could be the top choice for the VR game developers and for the VR hardware makers. But experience pavilion could be the one. Yeah.
Great, fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.